Let's talk about some of the good inmate programs that we have out there today. You know, there's a lot of people saying that we do not have enough rehabilitation in the United States. That could be true. There's a lot of people saying we do not have enough programs for the inmates. That also could be true. Let's try to concentrate on the good things we do have today, and then let's work with comments below on things that we need to do better, things that we need to acquire to help inmates stay occupied, to learn, and to make themselves, most importantly, a better person when they come out of prison. With the one thing I want to add, the inmate must be willing to do better. And there's a lot of inmates that are willing to do better, and there's some that just want to play games the whole time they're in prison, get out, reoffend, and come back. And some of you may not like that answer, but that's the truth. Just check the records and see how many have been back and forth from the streets to jail to prison. But let's talk about good programs. There's a good program that I like that helps families at home and the inmates in prison. And that's reading bedtime stories to their very own children. No, not face-to-face, but by recording. There are groups in certain states, California, Arkansas, a lot of states have adopted this program, where they take tape recorders and they go to a prison and they have inmates come in, they pick out a children's book, they say hello to their children, use their children's names, and read them a bedtime story. And then the recording is not mailed by the inmate, but sent off by the approved group that came in to make the recordings to the children, or to the mother of the children, or the father of the children in some cases. Now, many times these folks that go and record these say it's really something to see 10 big, strong, mean-looking inmates in line with a children's book in their hand, getting ready to read children some books. And I think it's a great thing. I think it helps the children, of course, to become closer to the parent. Yes, I know they're not right there, but they hear their voice. And they know it's their father or their mother speaking, because they have the program for women's prisons as well. Now, that's something I think should go nationwide. Let's do it. Let's give the families another connection. You know, we have visitation, which is in person in some places and by video in others. Let's give another means of communication to the children, and that it would be a great thing. It helps the inmates because they can at least feel like they've done something for their child. They've done something good. I think it is a build-up when they walk out of that room, a mental build-up, like I've done something good, and they probably will sleep good that night. And for the children, I bet they sleep good too, because they just heard from mom and dad. We have GED programs, of course. I wanted to start with that children's book reading first. We have GED programs, of course, that can be taken advantage of if the inmates want to better themselves. Okay, we have those. We have substance abuse programs that are given in some of the prisons that are used for inmates that are to be released within 2 years or less, or a year or less. And in these prisons, they can get them their substance abuse class that is mandatory to get their driver's license back. They can help them set themselves up with an identification card and birth certificate and a driver's license, because they have mobile vans that come to the prisons and actually have your DMV folks in there that can get them a driver's license. Now, classification will usually, at least in my state, hold all these items upon release. The inmate walks out with a driver's license, a birth certificate, or if they can't get the driver's license just yet, at least a state ID card, and things that they're going to need to survive on the outside. Things they're going to need when they say, we need to see your ID, we need to see your driver's license, we need to see your birth certificate. You have to have these things to survive. And many times in years and decades past, they would just hit the street with $100 maybe that the states used to give to the inmates. No ID, no nothing. What do? Where do they go? So, we have to have programs for release. We have to have places for some of these inmates to go, because some of these inmates don't have a supporting family. A family that will give their loved one a place to live. Where do they go? Salvation Army, that's one place. Lighthouse Ministries is another place. There's all kinds of places like this, but hey, this is temporary. This is a temporary Band-Aid. We have got to provide things for inmates that will give them a better chance to survive and stay out of jail and prison. Now, there's nothing wrong with the Salvation Army. There's nothing wrong with Lighthouse Ministries and all these type things. They are positive. At least there's something. But we need to build on that and come up with some more things. Again, I'm going to mention it along the way. As long as the inmate is willing to better him or herself, there are some things they can do. DUI counterattack programs are out there. Yes, they cost some money, but if the inmate cannot get a driver's license coming out of prison, they can get a state ID card, they can enroll in DUI counterattack, and they can take the course, take proof of completion to the DMV, and get a driver's license. I know it's tough, but, things aren't easy for people that are free on the street. If my driver's license gets suspended, and I've never been in prison, I've got to go through a whole bunch of motions to get my driver's license back. It's really tough. And if you've been incarcerated for drugs, too many DUIs, man, it's tough to get your driver's license back in this country. Real tough. Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, and rightfully so, and other groups are monitoring to make sure people go through substance abuse programs, DUI counterattack, things like that before they get that driver's license back. Hey, we can't complain about that. At least the programs are there for them to take it. Now, one thing that I feel we're lacking on, we do have mental health programs in our prisons. The best we've got, but we're not a mental health facility. And as you all know, a lot of mentally ill persons are being arrested and placed in our jails and placed in our state prisons, and not in a proper mental health facility. It can be a secure mental health facility, and a lot of those is closed. A lot of them have closed down across the country. So no, we're not going forward as far as mentally ill inmates and mental health treatment. We're going backward, in my opinion. Somebody wants to prove me wrong, but I know from working in the jail and prison, officers and jail administrators are pulling their hair out thinking, what are we going to do with these people with mental health issues? Our officers are trained in crisis intervention, but we can only go so far. We're not training our officers to be psychologists, mental health professionals. We're training them to be security, law enforcement, care, custody, and control of inmates. So it is, it's a tough road and I've named a few programs that are out there. We have also some religious programs that are out there. Honor dorms for inmates, faith-based dorms for inmates that can get in there and join the faith-based programs and prove that they are ready to face the life of society and not come back. And we hope when they complete the faith-based program that they realize their mistakes in life and they get out and make a better person of themselves. Now, a lot of these people I'm talking about are probably not murderers, rapists, pedophiles. But some will be, because not everybody charged with murder, and maybe second degree, third degree, they're not going to be in there for life. They're going to get out 15 years, 20 years, 10 years. Hopefully the faith-based programs can change their life around. Listen, I don't run the criminal justice system. I don't decide how long they stay in prison. So whether you like that somebody convicted of a murder gets out in 15 years or not, there's nothing I can do about it. And we would all have to band together and get legislature to change things. And actually things are changing to try to find ways to let inmates out earlier, which, depending on the crime, I have no problem with that. Serve 65% versus 85% of your time, depending on the crime. Pedophiles, rapists, and murderers, I have no mercy for them, so they're not on my list of people to get out early. But I'm just talking about programs that can help people when they do get out early or whenever they get out at the end of their sentence. Faith-based is another one we can talk about. We also have programs that keep inmates happy. Now, they may not get paid a huge amount of money per hour, but listen, I've interviewed a lot of inmates over the years. The inmates that work in Toys for Tots, making toys for inmates, they love it. Making toys, for children. They love it. They love the Toys for Tots program. They're doing something good. It makes them feel good. And some child with an indigent family is now getting a toy that they may not have gotten. Some people go, well, using inmates for labor. Well, come on, they're making toys for children. They love doing that. They love it. To them, it's a good feeling inside to give to the children. They know the children are getting these toys that they're making all year long in the prison. There's also furniture making. There's also small maintenance repair programs for small engines, lawnmowers, things like that. Some states have arts and crafts. There are a lot of programs out there. Farm programs. No, they're not growing the crops as slavery. They're actually learning from growing these crops about farming. The food is consumed by the inmates themselves, not sold to the community. And now they've grown their own food. Hey, I have a garden out here, and my wife. When you grow your own food, you kind of enjoy eating your own food that you grew. It's kind of neat. Okay? We don't need to be flipping everything around and using that word slave. I hate that. Slave labor. We're not doing that. There is no slave labor. Inmates can volunteer to work Department of Transportation Monday through Thursday, get paid a little bit, and work out on the roads, or they can just turn themselves in and say, I'm not doing this anymore, boss. I quit. And then go back to the prison. Nobody is forcing them to do that. I've talked to inmates that work DOT. They said those 4 days on the road and 3 days in the prison, hey, it gets me a chance to get outside, get some fresh air. I make a little bit. I don't make a lot of money. I make a little bit. It's not, nobody's being forced to do these things. So some more programs I just mentioned here at the end. There's a lot more things in the prison system that can be good for the inmates than people realize. I don't know how many people just stop and think. If you take my video now and sit here and wrote every one of them down from the beginning till now, I think you'd have a pretty good list of programs. Do I think we have enough things? No. Anger management is another class that can be taken in prison as well. And I did say drug and substance abuse classes. So one thing that would help these programs out a lot is to get rid of the corruption, get rid of the drug counselor who's bringing drugs in to, he's coming in to teach inmates not to do drugs and substance abuse classes, but he or she is smuggling drugs in. Faith-based dorms, I've caught civilian volunteers coming in, smuggling things in the prison for the inmates. Officers smuggling things in for the prison inmates, nurses, so prison staff in general and volunteers. Hey folks, we're not going to help with rehabilitation if we are bringing them the things we're trying to get them off of. So I thought I would throw that in at the end because I feel that is a huge, important thing to aid in rehabilitating inmates and getting them set for a better life on the street. We've got to stop the corruption so that we can help the inmates, right? Just a few things I thought I would throw out there. Put your comment. If you disagree with me, put it in there. All I ask is that you be tactful by YouTube rules. You don't have to cuss, call people names. I don't answer back. If I disagree with you, I don't call you names. Tell me you don't agree, but why? In a educational manner, a sensible manner, a manner of communication that is also needed in the prison for us to understand what's wrong and fix it. You know, telling somebody they're an effing jerk and they're wrong shows signs of illiteracy. You don't fix things by calling people names. You fix it by discussing things. And if we don't agree, we don't agree, but maybe we can come to some common ground. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. Gary York, True Prison Stories. Please subscribe.